This presentation is going to go through writing an ELA formative assessment. And the reason I chose to do a screencast over top of it was because I wanted to elaborate on a few of the pages. So when writing an ELA formative assessment, the first thing you always want to remember to do is to access your overview chart on SharePoint. Within each concept, there may be multiple standards, there may be one standard, but within every unit, there's multiple standards that are addressed. So you need to first identify the standard you want to address. And some things to think about when looking at your overview chart is not only do we have AP topics, but we also have assignments at the bottom. These AP topics are building blocks. So these are things students have already done or things that need to build to get to what students need to do at the end. So the final prompt is always going to be the most important, and that's what needs to happen before the end of the unit. The assignments also might be used as a formative assessment. And something to remember, though, with these assignments is all of them will need to be elaborated. So looking at it, you don't want to just take this and have the student work on it. You want to kind of look at it and see how you might use it as a formative assessment. Once you've identified your standard, you want to either look at the copy that you have of the Common Core State Standards, the Common Core lesson book, or there's also a link within the ELA documents on Schoology that you can link to the ELA standard. So you want to review that standard. You want to look at the vocabulary in the standard. You want to look at the end of year expectation. Something that's nice about the Common Core lesson book is you actually can see the progression from K to 5 to see if there is or if there are any vocabulary changes from grade level to grade level. Now, something to think about when creating your formative assessment is that within some of the grade levels in K to 2, there are some questions that may be connected to some question stems. So I'm going to show you quickly how to find those if there are question stems. So the first thing you're always going to do is you're going to go to curriculum and instruction and choose your grade level. After I've chosen my grade level, you want to go to that ELA grade page and identify the unit, in this case, Unit 5. Then we're going to look at point of view. If there are questions, you will see a section that says sample questions and you can click on it. In this case, it's a Word document. These questions can be used as guides. They may be a way for you to begin creating your form of assessment. If you do find question stems, don't feel like you have to use them. It's just an option that you could use. Something else to think about. So what else is helpful? The Common Core lesson plan book that you have is one resource you could use. But if you do choose to use a different resource, such as a graphic organizer activity, I want you to remember to always go back and check the standard and LEQ from the overview chart. It's important that whatever formative assessment that you are creating, that it addresses what has to occur by the end of the unit. Now we're going to kind of take a minute to go through, if we were to use the Common Core lesson book to create a formative assessment, what could I do? So always go back to that overview chart. Check the standard, identify which one you're going to be working with. And then within the Iwaki book, what you'll find is you'll have an anchor. The first page is going to be that anchor page. And it's going to give you the reading anchor and then the progression. You want to make sure that you check the end of year expectations and then the vocabulary, because sometimes the vocabulary changes from grade to grade. Something that's used in kindergarten might not be used in first grade. So you want to make sure that you're checking that. After I've identified the standard, looked at the progression, I'm going to go into that section of the book. With almost every anchor standard, you will find most likely a graphic organizer that is leveled to the grade level, but you need to make sure to check that it connects with your grade level. The other thing you want to look at is the independent application. So within every anchor, you're going to find independent application activities. So these also could be used. If you notice, these are leveled. Not all of them are leveled. So that's also something to check. So what are we doing with this? Now is going to be the time when you create your formative assessment with your team. So you need to think about some things. How are you going to give the formative assessment? When are you going to give the formative assessment? You need to think about the expectations. After, even before you give the assessment, what are you expecting of students from this? And then the results. Once you have given it, you need to sit down, you need to look at the results and decide a plan of action. Are you going to need to reteach the skill? Are you going to need to pull a small group? Are there only a few students? So that's where we are moving with formative assessments.